Well, past 6 o'clock here, so we will go back into open session. Mr. Terpstra, can we please have a readout of closed session?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. All members were present during the closed session, which began at 5:30. There was no reportable action.
All right, thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I'm David Morris. Thanks for the opportunity to go with us this evening, so thanks for the invite. Heavenly Father, there is none like you. You're a good God and you're a great God. And even as we have recently come through on the July 4th holiday, I'm reminded of how thankful I can be and we can be of this country that you've given to us, the so very many freedoms that we have that have been hard won, hard earned, and then hard kept through the work of so many men and women. So I'm thankful to you for our freedoms, for our country, and particularly for this city that we care about and care for, that we live in and work in and play in. And I pray that you would bless Ripon even through the meeting tonight. I pray that the decisions that our leaders make would be good for our thriving, for our children, for all involved. I pray for our city economically, that you would help us to make good choices that are for the best for all of us in terms of thriving economically. I pray the best for our city spiritually. I thank you for so many churches and men and women and boys and girls of faith, and I pray that you would bless them and cause us to be a town where our churches thrive and do well. And I also want to pray tonight for our city educationally, even as so many of our teachers have a little bit of well-earned rest time, but also are already beginning to think about next year. I pray that you would bless the education development of the children in our city, whether it is in the classroom or extracurriculars. So I do pray that in all ways you would bless us, which we do not deserve, but we humbly ask for. As I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, thank you. Lisa, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Leo Zuber.
Present.
Mike Rastusha.
Present.
Dean Euchre.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gary Barton.
Present.
Mayor Daniel DeGraff.
Here. All right, we'll move into the public discussion. This time is provided for members of the public to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. So if you have something to speak on that is not on the agenda, please come forward, state your name and address, and let us know what you have to say.
Hello again. My name is Emil Guillermo, longtime resident of Ripon on Margaret Way, and the first poet laureate of Ripon. Once again, operating under the guise that there is poetry everywhere, even in Ripon. I want to read this poem. On Thursday night, July 10th, we'll have our regular reading and writing session at 4 p.m. at the library. And then I'll be going to the farmer's market where I'll be reading this poem. Also, I'm performing my one-man show next month, so I will miss the meeting. So you'll have to just live on this poem. This is called, In Ripon, you don't buy farmers at a farmer's market. You buy the toil of many hands in a place where people show their wares, all the things they imagine from that labor of seed and sweat and soil and water, seed and sweat and soil and water, and sun, which gives us the balance, the thing, the soul of the soil, the soul of the farm workers. This is what they share with those of us lured to market, that river of commerce. We are the people who tread the path that wraps around the booths of the fruits and vegetables that say, take me home. I am your nourishment. We follow our senses. What smells, looks, feels good, and is ready for our consumption? What looks inviting? Will something that grew here or close catch our eye or appetite? Is that a mini cauliflower? Nope, that's a lion's mane. Like Lion's King? No, mushroom. I am from San Francisco. I thought I knew fruits and nuts and vegetables, not like these. The lion's mane fits perfectly my taste and gives me courage to eat it. As I roam through the river of commerce, there's music in the air, and sometimes a poet hurls words at the unsuspected into the mix, a tossed delight of the senses. Every week, this is where we come seeking it all for what we've grown and brought to life. It's not Save Mart, more real, more personal than a can this or a box of that. It's our public square, a sense of community gathering to consume the gathered, the ripened and ripen at the farmer's market. We are hungry to connect to one another and feel the life of Ripon. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes from the regular city council meeting of June 10th. Motions or second?
Second.
We can just do a voice vote because we're having some technical
Okay.
difficulties.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, approval of the agenda is post amendment. So is there anybody that'd like to speak on anything on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda as posted amendment. Is there anything that's being pulled? No. Is there a
I'll
motion?
move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay, approval of the consent calendar.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Motion carries. We will move on to, there is no items pulled. So public hearing number 1 on the annual assessment for the fiscal year 2025-26 for the city of Ripon's landscape maintenance districts. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We discussed this at the last meeting, so I won't go back into detail. But of the 10 landscape maintenance districts, 2 are in front of council for increases. It's the Carolinas, which is going from $250 a year to $262.50, so a $12.50 a year increase. And then the Alexandra Landscape District is going from $292.28 to $301.62, so $9.34 a year increase.
That's it?
That's it. And those increases are to keep up with the operating costs associated with those 2 districts.
Sounds kind of.
Now, are there funds or balances that, for, overruns or additional?
Yeah, so I believe we have about 6 maintenance districts that do not have the ability for us to increase those assessments, and there is no balance. So when we talk about the budget, you will see there are transfers from the street and road fund to cover those deficits in those districts. It's
These
$75,000.
These individual landscape districts just pay for their own area, though, correct? They're not
Correct.
paying for anybody else's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions, comments?
Nope.
This is a public hearing, so we'll go and open the public hearing. Anybody like to speak on this item? Nope.
Seems like.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and this is a resolution, so we'll need a voice vote. Oh yeah, looks like I can. So is there a motion to?
I'll move
pass
to approve the
resolution?
resolution.
We have a motion and a second.
Oh, now it's working.
You gotta click it.
Dean, you gotta click it.
Good. Okay. Now, the lighting districts.
The city has operated the Ripon Lighting District since 2005. Since that time, the assessment has been set at $42 per single family equivalent. There is no increase included for 25-26, so that assessment remains the same.
Okay.
I have one question. If I remember right in the staff report, we're getting close to the point though where we're gonna need to do something.
Right, there is. And I think we talked about this a couple of months ago. This district is not setting money aside for capital replacement as well. So within the next couple of years, we're gonna have to talk about how to better fund the district. But you would have to go through a 218
Prop 218
process
for it.
to increase this assessment, which is different than the maintenance districts.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll make a motion. to
No,
approve.
it's a public hearing. We gotta open public hearing first, right? Yep. All right. Public hearing's open. Anybody want to comment on this? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Now go ahead and make your motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I can't call a vote.
We doing it verbal or we doing it?
Yep, we're good now.
It shows.
I got it.
All right, now public hearing number 3 on the fiscal year 2025-26 operating capital budget. Evan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a little bit longer of a staff report. As you know, the development project or the development of the city budget starts with the strategic planning meeting. We held this meeting back in April, and it's really an important time for staff and the city council to discuss the council priorities and how best to move forward with bringing those to fruition within the budget. The strategic planning meeting, we've been doing these for probably 6 or 7 years now. There's been a lot of important decisions and policies that have come out of that meeting. Talked a lot about street and road maintenance, and we have a new program of how we deal with street and road maintenance now. We've talked about various public safety issues, continuing to provide services during a short-term economic downturn, and various growth policies have all been discussed as part of this meeting. At the June City Council meeting, we had a budget workshop where we talked about all the different funds associated with the city budget and those variables that have the largest influence within the budget. And then tonight is the public hearing, and it's on the agenda for City Council adoption. So before we get into specifics of the budget, one of the things that I just wanted to point out, and this is in the staff report, but we're in an interesting time right now, and you can see the financial trends of the general fund over the last 12 years. Revenue and expenses have increased the same for the most part over the long run. But in the last 3 years, since 23-24, revenue on average increased about 4% a year, and expenses have increased about 7.3% a year. So that's obviously something to be aware of. And we did talk about that at the strategic planning meeting and the largest influences that have resulted in that 7.3% in expenses. And we also talked about the steps that we're planning to take over the next year to address that, and those are all listed in the staff report, so I won't go over those again. The other thing I would point out, we did separate out development related revenue. That is the black column on top of the green column. You can see on there that does vary quite a bit year to year. There's no real trend in that, and it varies from close to $400,000 to $800,000 a year in development related revenue. And then the gray column on top of the red are the transfers we make to the various fund, or this is to the general fund, from the general fund to largely the capital replacement funds that we have set up. These are the actual numbers from the budget to the largest funds that we have in place. With the general fund, this is a list of the different funds where those transfers are going. C&G Capital Fund, Department Capital Fund, this is what replaces police cars, computers, a number of items within the police department and the administration side is included in that. Park and Rec Capital Fund, and then lastly, we have set up a CalPERS contingency fund. It's within a 115 trust, and the intent of that is to mitigate some of the increases we're seeing with unfunded liabilities. The one thing like I mentioned earlier, we are seeing a unique time right now where expenses are increasing at a higher rate than revenue. We still have a balanced budget within the general fund, but the impact of that has been to the transfer to the department capital fund. We have a spreadsheet set up, a database set up where we list everything that's included in those transfers, how much we anticipate those items are once they need to be replaced, and the service life of those. And so we do a calculation every year to determine what this transfer needs to be. When we do it this year, that transfer should have been $540,000. But instead, we're only able to transfer $363,000 as part of the budget. The rest of these items, all the transfers that are calculated are being made as we would expect. The other thing within the budget, we do have funds set aside to support the various entities that supports the city. This is a listing of them. It's about $450,000 that funds everything from supporting the chamber within the Almond Blossom Festival, the San Joaquin Partnership fees, and then to the library, museum, aquatic center. We share half of that with the school district. And then we have an agreement with the fire district for hazardous material mitigation if a spill happens. So that's all part of the budget, and those are all included in the budget as they were the previous year. We talked about a little bit about this last time, but I thought it was an important point to emphasize again. Like I mentioned, with the strategic planning meeting, a lot of the focus of the city council has been how to improve the conditions of street and roads in Ripon. So what we came up with is more of a splitting the city up into 8 geographic regions, and we go out and do surface treatment and road repair in each of those areas. And we try to do those every 2 to 3 years. So in 24-25, we did complete area number 1. That was about 8 miles of roads for $2 million. And that was the surface treatment component of that project. That includes like slurry seals and the 3-layer system that we've been putting on roads. And then about $350,000 was the reconstruction of 3rd Street. For 25-26, we are doing area 2. This is south of Colony Road to Miljo Road. Highway 99 is that triangle that you see on there. That project has been bid. They are starting work here mid-July. The resurfacing component of that is about $1.3 million. Again, about 8 miles of roads that are going to be resurfaced, and $300,000 to reconstruct Cobblestone Court. So that's not in area number 2, but it was a large enough need, and that road has gotten so bad we did include it as part of this project. And then there's an overlay planned on River Road as well. We had some grant money to pay for that, so we included that, and that grant money's planned for 25-26. The next big project is Area 3. So this is a much larger project. We're going to have to, staff is putting together a phasing plan we're going to talk to council about and use to go out and get grants to really reconstruct quite a few of the streets that are south of Main Street, between Main and 2nd.
I like this map.
Yeah, what has been great is engineering uses this to put projects together. Once those projects are set up, we have the plan sheets, we have everything ready to go. It's going to be easy to get projects out to bid the next time these areas go out to bid. And then Public Works uses this as well when they do their crack patching, and they essentially follow the projects that we're doing.
This map, as far as Area 1 goes, the projects that were recently completed, they're still shown as red on or whatever on
Right.
here, right? So it's not an updated version of
We're
to
planning,
date.
We haven't updated those
Yep.
yet. Yeah, those were where we started. So it'll be interesting as we do this for a couple projects. The change in colors we could
Yeah,
refer
nice
back
to compare
those.
the old.
Sure looks a lot better than it did like 8, 10, whatever it was years ago. Significantly.
Right.
Kevin, do you anticipate that Area 3 will be the most expensive area that we do.
by far.
Okay.
Yeah, the next expensive area will be Area 6, where the truck stops are, and some of the reconstruction of that intersection there at
Santos and Jackson.
Jacktown. But yeah, Area 3 will be the most expensive.
Because we have to cut the streets down by 10 feet.
Yeah, in that one, we also included complete streets on some of those streets where we're expanding the sidewalks, we're providing some bike lanes. So those are not just reconstruction of those streets, but there's other components that are not included as part of the maintenance program.
And those components will be what drives getting grant funding as well,
Exactly.
right? So,
Exactly.
Well, and you have a master plan or something that we approved that really
Yep.
makes downtown look extremely nice.
Right, yeah, and that's included in that $11 million is that downtown circulation master plan. Yeah. So my last slide is just the 3-year capital improvement program. Just, I won't go through every project, but I will tell you, right now, under design is the signal at River and North Ripon. We're expecting that design to be done the end of this year, early 2026. Community center parking lot and baseball fields is moving forward. That's about 60% complete at this time. The well 3 treatment system is in design. That was actually out to bid at one point. State regulations changed related to water quality. And so we had to go back and reconfigure the tanks on that project. So hoping to get that project out to bid here in the next couple months. Well 9 rehabilitation project is currently pretty early in the design stages. And then we're working with the Regional Rail Commission on the ACE Transit Station design, which is about 60% complete right now. And then the designs, so those are under design now. The ones that we are anticipating getting started more towards the middle of 25, 26 is a 2nd Street Safe Route to School project. This is part of the downtown circulation master plan we did. We did get grant money to pay for a portion of that project. So that is the first project that's being completed as part of that plan. Stanislaus River Bike Trail, and then the SSJID Surface Water Project.
We started looking at these, they look so far out.
Yeah,
And now they're here.
right. They're coming quick.
Boy, yeah.
So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. That's really a high-level snapshot of the budget. Obviously, we talked about a lot more detail in June, but happy to answer any questions.
any questions from council? No, this is a public hearing, so we'll go to open the public hearing. Any public hearing comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move forward with the vote. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll move to approve.
Adopt the resolution, rather.
I'll move to adopt the resolution and the budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you guys call the vote?
Oh, there it is.
All right. Dean seconded you.
No, Gary.
Oh, Gary seconded it. Well, we had 2 seconds. With Gary, yeah. Quick draw McGee over here. All right. Ordinances, Lisa, this is yours. I believe you have some public comment to read as well, and yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so before I get going, I would like to make a note that on the agenda, it says first reading and adoption. We will be looking for first reading and introduction this evening. It'll be brought
Waive the
back-
first reading and introduce the ordinance.
Waive the first reading and introduce. And we will
Yes.
bring it back for adoption in August.
Okay.
But this is just our annual ordinance that's required to certify the 2025-2026 appropriation limits, also known as the GAN limits. In essence, it's saying that the taxes that we collect are below the ceiling that we are allowed to collect based upon the rates set by Proposition 4 passed in 1979.
Costs us more to put this together than zero. I'll make a motion to waive the first reading and adopt.
Well, one moment, I do have a public
There's
comment
public
on
comments.
this.
Oh, you do, sorry.
Yes,
Quick draw.
so that's my report, and I'd be happy to
When
answer
there's
any
a
questions.
$0 on there, it's not a hard decision, but I'm sorry, go right ahead.
So I received a public comment yesterday via email, and then we also got something today from the same gentleman. I believe it's identical, but I'm not certain, but we did forward that and distribute that to all of you guys. So this says, "Good evening. My wife and I live and own a home in Ripon, and we enjoy are joined by 5 of our children, their spouses, and 21 grandchildren. On June 30th, 2025, California lawmakers rolled back environmental law. Why is high-tech manufacturing and water infrastructure now exempt as detailed in a July 1st, 25 Cal Matters article by news correspondent Rachel Becker? Note, also published on page A3 of the Manteca Bulletin dated that same date. There's also a link that you can read that article if you would like. Question, what broad range of powers does this law give to the city of Ripon and others to examine and correct the full range of drainage and other impacts involved? Who determines the array of impacts and whether CEQA environmental rules apply? Who is ultimately responsible for any and all drainage impacts to downstream properties? Example, the feds, state, county, city, individual property owners. What higher taxes may apply? Then he has a lead-in that says rollback of environmental laws, public safety, suspect water delivery and drainage and fire services. When looking at SGMA goals and mandates, increased demand for affordable housing, currently understaffed firehouses, suspect water delivery and drainage infrastructure, apparent abandonment and CEQA environmental laws, I believe our best outcome can only be achieved by banding together to share critical infrastructure and public services capacity, while preparing for each of us to pay more in taxes. Question, if property owners in Ripon do not contribute in the form of paying higher taxes, then who is paying and taking control of our right to groundwater and SSGID surface water? Thanks, Marty Harris.
All right. You may. Well, Mike already did. So you
Then
can.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to waive the first reading and introduce the order. No, introduce. We'll adopt next month.
You will introduce and adopt, wait, save a month.
You can't.
Can't.
Private business is so much better. Tom?
All right, whoever's seconding this thing.
Leo.
Okay. Alrighty. There we go. Okay, reports. Chief.
Honorable City Council, I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, yep.
Let's see, I read in the paper this morning that Manteca had like 109 citations for fireworks. And your email today told us we had 14. Our population is probably about 15% of Manteca, so that sort of works out. They use drones. Is that something we might want to look at? So, I'm just asking, not that we need to, but
Yeah, no,
I
that's a
got
good,
mixed results from or comments. I was out of town for the 4th, but since I've been back, I've had some people say that it was very noisy over on my side of town. I've had other people say it was a lot quieter this year than it has been in the past. So I'm just asking.
no, it's a good question. Overall, we had 17 incidents of fireworks that we responded to, and it only resulted in 1 citation where we were able to identify the person. Overall, the sergeant reported back. It was a very good night overall. It was not a lot of activity, which is obviously a good thing. And all due respect to those other cities, we don't have nearly the issues that they have. In fact, I was out that night and I couldn't believe I was in Modesto and driving back to Ripon, you would think it was the no-fly zone because there was hardly anything going on. It's really amazing when you compare it to other cities. I mean, there's just stuff going off all over the place. You go to Ripon, silence. Now, I understand there were some fireworks, but comparable, it's pretty reasonable. And regarding a drone, personally, no, I don't think it's needed at this time. Now, I will say this, though. We were prepared, talking to the sergeant, if we had reoccurring issues at a particular area, that after we did a drive-by or after we sighted them, if it continued, they were prepared. One of our pilots was on duty that night that can deploy it. And they were ready, if need be, to deploy it if we had a reoccurring problem that kept on occurring even after either a citation was issued, or a lot of times we get these calls of fireworks. You know, no one knows exactly where it's happening. We drive by and it takes care of the problem. And also, if you had someone on a drone, you know, if you had someone just say, hey, I'm going to deploy the drone right now and just fly it over, then we lose an officer on the street. And if they're deploying it with a purpose, then it's a little more reasonable if like I said, we have a reoccurring problem. But with the size of our city and the amount of officers we have on duty, I don't think it's needed. I really don't. Obviously, some of these other cities that have it have a huge problem, plus their city is a lot bigger and they don't have as many officers on as we do. So that's that.
I was in Modesto. That place is like fireworks city everywhere, and they have drones.
Yeah.
But I think they just fly around. They don't really, I don't know. It's obvious they don't stop the problem. Because it was,
Oh, that's what I was wondering. I mean, some of these other cities say, oh, we're gonna deploy our helicopter specifically to go track down fireworks. And it's like, you're gonna spend however many tens of thousands of dollars to go put a helicopter. How many fireworks did you actually stop? And what did you, I mean, the use of those resources to go do firework patrol seems kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, if it's up in the sky doing other things, that's fine. But if it's specifically set up to go catch someone lighting fireworks, don't know that that's a good use of funds. But especially in this case where you're taking an officer away, it's not like we have a bunch of extra officers sitting around. If you're gonna go pay someone just to do that.
Well, I think it's the fact that you're traveling around all the time that people see it, that
Yeah.
they tend to not want to do stuff. But I will tell you that usually when I went out every morning after the 4th of July, I go outside and because you're going to smell, all the fireworks. There was not a stench of any kind of fireworks. And we're probably the most patriotic city in the state. So, I mean, the fact that we're not flying fireworks doesn't mean anything other than people saved the money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Zeidenberg.
Nothing to report this evening.
No special meetings you need us to attend? Come on.
No, actually, no planning commission, so take the month off there.
Perfect. Mr. Peace.
Yes, a couple of quick things. Our water use for the month of June was 15% lower than our 2013 numbers. It was 1% lower than last year's numbers. Our large item pickup program is still available to residents. They can sign up online or come in. And then the Stanislaus River Bike Bridge project is underway as far as the repair goes. So they started that yesterday. We anticipate that being completed in about 3 to 4 weeks.
That's all I have. Thank you. Mr. Terpstra.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Werner. Nothing to report. Councilman Rustusha.
I do. I want to bring something up. Next year is going to be 250 years this country's been its birthday. And this year was really interesting to watch. I'm telling you, I don't listen to music, but I like patriotic songs. And you get kind of emotional about it. And I think since we do the National Night Out as a city event, I think we should really consider for 250 years, because some of up here will never, ever see the 300th year, guaranteed. Maybe some won't see the 275. But I think we should really celebrate our birthday next year as a city. Put it on for the citywide. I don't know how to plan it, how to put it together, Kelly. Yeah. But I think we should really seriously consider. I'll be the first donator. I just think we should do something for it. I think it's a big deal next year. So anyway, I bring that up because we only have 12 months, and if we don't do something now, it's not going to ever happen. Yeah, I think so.
So Mona is the committee chair for that? You just
Mona would probably work with Kelly. You tell her.
I'll tell her you volunteered her.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Euchre.
nothing to report.
Mr. Zuber.
I have nothing.
And Mr. Barton.
Yeah, a couple things. One, I wanted to highlight a couple of our businesses in town that are just off to a great start. The first one is the Legacy Fitness Club. Michelle has done an amazing job with that. It's extraordinary to drive by pretty much every morning, and there are no spaces in that parking lot. They're out on the street, and so good for her, and I think good for our community. The second one had an opportunity to visit the day after they opened the Cask and Barrel. I was on the planning commission when we approved that business, and there were some concerns voiced about a liquor store in Ripon, and they answered those questions well, and I will tell you they really executed on what they said they were going to do. I'd encourage you to go in there. I just think it's very well done. It is, it's something that Ripon can be proud of. So hats off to the owners of that business, and I wish them well.
That's when their Tractor Supply?
Yes.
Finally opened.
They finally opened. Yeah, it's a really nice spot. The second thing is, and Mike mentioned our 250th anniversary celebrating this amazing country. We are certainly in my lifetime, and I think historically, at a real nadir in terms of political division in this country. And it is, people say this perhaps with some regularity, but right now it is pretty extraordinary, and it is far too often resulting in violence. And I see more and more activity, social media and the media generally tend to exacerbate this and stoke the flames, but it's a concern. And so I just raised that issue because we're so blessed in this town to have a populace that in many ways is united in our vision for what we hope Ripon will be. There's so many who work hard to make this a safe town, a beautiful town, a place where people can thrive. And I have no interest in having folks here who, on either side of the political aisle, who choose to promote their political points of view by using violence or other means that pit people against each other. That's it. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. And to piggyback on top of that, spent some time out of the state for 4th of July, and Alaska does not have any darkness. It's like 22 hours of sunlight. So we don't have fireworks. They launch cars off of a cliff next to the river. So I went to go see that. I don't know if you've seen YouTube videos. Recommend going there and checking that out. But over the course of the few days I got to spend there.
Do they have people in the cars?
No people in the car. You would not want to be in the car when it's done. Not much left of them. But I got some videos I'll show you after. But the point I want to make, I guess, as you go to these places and you meet people and they say, "Oh, where are you from?" "I'm from California," and they look at you like, "Oh, Californians." It's a really negative reaction. And then you start to explain to them, "No, we're not from California. We're from this wonderful little town nestled in between some kind of crazy towns in the Bay Area and LA, and we're not like that." And when you talk about the members of the council and certainly members of the staff and just how the city's run and what we have as a special little town here, it makes you proud to be from Ripon, makes you proud to be part of this community, and certainly proud to be an American. So just want to say thank you to everybody for making this town wonderful, and thank you to those of you who are here tonight enjoying this lovely council meeting. Thank you. And with that, we will meeting adjourned.